The Absolute Idiots Podcast.
Hi, I'm James.
And I'm Arman.
And we're
the Absolute Idiots.
Welcome to episode 2. Thank you for tuning in. This week, James, what are we going to talk about?
We will be discussing an idea suggested to us by the wonderful Annie Leonard.
Woo!
Today we will be going through each of our top 10 favorite movies.
Oh yeah, and if you want to suggest an idea for what we should talk about on the podcast, find us on social media. We have an Instagram at the Official Thai Podcast, or Official Thai Podcast actually. And then we also have a Twitter. It's somewhere on the Instagram bio, so go to Instagram. And we'll have a Facebook page up soon, maybe later today, hopefully later today. Or you can go directly to our Soundcloud. I don't really know how to get there, but if you're listening to this, you're already there. So
Yeah.
just bookmark this page. I don't know what you're doing, not bookmarking this page.
Go there every single day.
Go every single day, even though you know podcasts only come out weekly. James, we should hop into our top 10 favorite movies.
Yes, we should.
Do you want to start, or should I?
I think I should start.
So the way we're going to go is we're going to each talk about our top 10, or our bottom. So we're going to go from bottom to top. So we'll each talk about our number 10, and then our number 9,
and then
our number 8,
7, so on
and
so
so on and so forth. James, James, do you want to tell the audience any context about your life?
Yes. So, I am not the biggest movie goer. I can't really think of many movies. I think I've watched under 25 movies in my life. Gotta be honest with you folks. But
Making this list was so difficult.
yeah. It was like I listed 10 movies and was like, half of these don't deserve to be on there, but I don't know what else to put on there. But eventually we got it sorted out. I have a decent list. I think you guys will be happy.
Very happy.
Maybe some of you won't be so happy, but to each their own, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
James, is it okay if I go first with an honorable mention?
Okay,
I just
yes,
wanted to
of
mention
course,
this
of
movie.
course.
It was very hard for me to decide, unlike James. And I had to knock a lot of really good movies off here. I had to knock things like The Dark Knight off and Dunkirk. But the honorable mention that I want to talk about just very briefly is Home Alone. James, have you heard of Home Alone?
I have heard of Home Alone.
Have you watched Home
I
Alone?
have not watched Home Alone.
For those of you who haven't watched Home Alone, I don't know what you're doing with your life, James.
Okay.
Chen is the only person that applies to. Home Alone is about this kid who's left home by his entire family while they go on this Christmas vacation. And I believe they go to New York, and he's left home alone. And for some reason, the parents can't get back for 3 days. There's a delay in flights or whatever, and this mom is going crazy. The story's not about the mom. The story's about the kid. And basically, there are these thieves who are like, okay, this house is empty. We're going to rob it. And this child, Kevin, sets up all these traps and he knows that these thieves are coming, and he sets up all these traps. Very funny. It's a very, I don't think quality-wise, it's the best movie in the world. A lot of my movies, and probably James's movies, are not quality-wise the best movies, or the Oscar winners. But I have a very positive association with this movie, with me and my family. We watch all the time. So, Home Alone, I had to give an honorable mention. Thank you, James.
Thank you for the attack earlier.
Yeah, no worries. How can you... Well, whatever. How can you not watch Home Alone?
All right, kicking off my number 10 list, we have... We're going
That's the only time we're going to drum roll.
Right,
I don't know why I started that.
We have the Penguins of Madagascar. So some context. At home, I actually own Madagascar 1, 2, and 3. And I've watched them several times as a kid.
Spoiler alert, those aren't on the list.
Spoiler alert, sorry, you Madagascar fans. But my favorite characters in those movies were always the penguins. And when they came out with the Penguins of Madagascar movie, I knew I had to watch it.
Can you give us a bit of context of the movie, James? What
Yes.
it is?
So these penguins of Madagascar, basically, they're There are 4 penguins. There's Skipper. There is. Why is that the only one I can remember?
There's Kowalski.
Rico.
And what's the last one?
Dumbass. Skipper, Kowalski. Private. That's the last one.
Apparently he hatched out of an egg. Oh, that's why he's so fucking dumb all the time. Okay, sorry, continue.
So these penguins, they're like elite spy masters. Like imagine a team of James Bond, but they're just wacky
They're much better
penguins. They're much better than James Bond. And so they just go around the world with doing spy things, and they're just zany characters all around. And so basically, this movie touches upon their origin story, and how they came to be such elite spy masters.
This is an origin.
Yes, this is an origin story.
Oh, okay.
And so, this is a disclaimer. This is going to be a pretty common theme among the lower movies, but I watched this a long time ago and barely remember the plot. But basically, this goes into...
This movie released 12 days before it released in the US in China.
Thank you.
So weird. Sorry.
So it goes through their whole origin story about how they were born and what happened to them. And basically, they meet this other elite spy team composing of other Arctic animals. And they try to rescue something. And
Are you not saying it for spoilers?
I'm not saying it because I don't remember what it is.
Okay.
And they're like, they go on this adventure, and the other spy team is like opposing them, I think, but eventually they win in the end. It's a very stereotypical kids movie. But for me, as I said, the penguins have always had a little bit of charm for me. They're very zany characters, and I love them. They're adorable. They're awesome. They're super cool. More adjectives that mean nothing. And I couldn't think of a better thing to put at number 10. So that is my number 10.
The Penguins of Madagascar. Moving on, we're going to my number 10. Not at all as interesting as James's. Actually, it's pretty interesting. It's Memento, which is a movie that came out a little while ago, not super long ago, but like long enough ago that you would go, oh, that's an old movie if you showed it to your kids. Which when by the time you show it to your, well, okay, we're not going to talk. Memento is this movie about this guy, and he has short-term memory loss, so he cannot make any new memories at all since his old memories. And basically, it's this movie about how he's trying to find his wife's like attacker. So this man has come into his house at some point and like raped and killed his wife in their bathroom, and then he like tried to confront the person, but then they like knocked him unconscious and they like injured some part of his brain. I forget which part. This is a psychology thing. If you were in AP psychology right now, you definitely know this. They injured some part of his brain that kept him from creating new memories. And so he's like trying to go after his wife's attacker, but he can't like make any new memories. So he's putting tattoos on his body to like help him remind him of things. But the reason the movie's actually interesting is because the movie is set in a way that it makes you feel like you also cannot make any new memories. Because, well, maybe not even like that. Well, the movie is set so that it goes from the very last scene to the very first scene. It goes in reverse order. So it goes to him like confronting somebody about his attacker to like what happened at the very beginning. And there's a bunch of different twists and reveals along the way. It's very well shot so that you don't feel lost at any time. I think it's a really excellent movie. The only reason I didn't put it too much higher is because, again, the plot is a little weird, and I felt like the main character had very little to him. He wasn't I was more interested in the style of the movie and like what they were doing with the movie than the main character. I don't really remember who was playing. I don't think he probably wasn't a famous actor, or maybe he was, and now I'm gonna get roasted for it. But Memento is my number 10, and you should go see it if you're not in it in regular psych. You probably won't see it, so go see it.
And for those with a burning curiosity, no, I have not seen or heard of that movie, and that's going to be the case with
That's
a
fair.
lot of his movies.
That's fair. Some of these movies are not as well known. Memento, you definitely wouldn't know.
All right, on to my next movie, number 9. Some of you may be disappointed that such a classic movie is so far down the list, but we have The Incredibles. Again, this is a movie that I watched a very, very long time ago.
But did you like it, James?
I did like it. That's why it's in my top 10 list.
Good. Just making sure.
And so, for those of you that don't know, which I don't know how
It's 0%.
The Incredibles is about this family of superheroes, and we have, what are the character names? We have
Mr. Incredible.
We have Mr. Incredible, Elastigirl,
Yeah.
Violet, Dash, and Jack.
Yes.
So
Who's your favorite character?
My favorite character has got to be Dash, honestly.
Because you want his power or because he's hot?
Yes. So
We do not condone child. Okay, we're going.
let's move on from
I'm
that.
very tired. We both had very little sleep, so
Yes.
this is a very epic podcast. So, sorry.
So yeah, this family of superheroes. We have Mr. Incredible, who is like the main lead man. We have his wife, Elastigirl, who he met many years ago while superheroing. We have their child Dash, who can run really fast. Very surprising there. We have Violet, who can make force fields. And we have Jack.
Violet can also turn invisible.
Oh, sorry. I was going to mention that, but I wasn't sure if that was another movie or not.
She's basically the invisible woman. That's
Yes.
all it is.
And then we have Jack, which is a very hot-tempered baby. So we don't need to worry about him because he's a baby.
You just read the plot.
Anyways, so the movie starts off. I don't remember if the opening scene is the office scene or the past scene. Okay, anyways.
It's about the past.
Okay.
It's the one about the past.
Okay. So basically, back when Mr. Incredible was superheroing, he met this guy named Syndrome, who was a very...
Don't go through the whole plot.
Okay, so...
Just talk about why you like it.
I need to make up for the last one, okay? I barely knew the plot in the last one, okay?
Just
All right, moving on. So, the movie revolves around their fight, this family's fight.
You're doing very well.
This family's fight against Syndrome, and Syndrome is a very devious child.
Thoughts on Syndrome as a villain?
Thoughts on Syndrome as a villain? I think he is definitely, he's a very cool villain because he has a lot to him. He has so many like different, like obviously he doesn't have any superpowers, right?
Yeah.
But he has so many crazy gadgets and tools, sort of like Batman, but like not at all like Batman.
Because he's evil.
Because he's evil, exactly. And we all know Batman is not evil. And so, and he just has wacky, crazy inventions that can counter these actual superheroes, which I think is super cool. But I think him as like a villain himself is just, his motives were kind of weak, honestly, in my opinion. And were you gonna say something?
Well, I just think that one thing that's interesting about Syndrome is that he's almost like a foil, if you will, to the Parr family or the Incredible family, because the Incredible family has all these powers, but they're trying to keep it hidden. Like that's like the thing that they're struggling with is keeping it hidden. Versus Syndrome has no powers and he's trying to be out there and like be in the open, like get people to know him and get people to fall in love with him and whatever.
Right.
So I think I really liked that kind of parallel. Excuse me, but I agree. His motives were kind of a little bit, not great.
Yeah.
Also,
exactly.
stupid haircut.
Yeah. He and that's basically it. That is it for my number 9 pick.
Is my number 9 pick? My number 9 pick is probably the movie on here that the least people have heard of. This is Uncle Buck. And this is a movie from, let me see, actually. I don't remember when this movie is from exactly. 1989. So a little while ago. This is a movie, I'll describe a little bit of the plot because probably very few people have seen this movie. But yeah, James, I'm going to describe the plot of my movie.
Okay.
Very, very briefly, there's this family and they need a babysitter for their 3 children. And the only person that is able to do the job is
A serial killer.
one of their uncles who they... How did you know? No, not at all serial killer. This uncle who they really didn't want to ask because he's kind of like a slob and he's not very good at like being responsible. And he's kind of like, oh, I sit at home all day and I eat food or whatever. And I haven't gone anywhere with my life and stuff.
We're not trying to call any of you out.
No, this is why they didn't like him in the movie. And so Uncle Buck comes and he has all these like situations he has to deal with and he deals with them comedically. But like the older child in the family has like a boyfriend, but like Uncle Buck is like, oh, this boyfriend is not very good for you, da da da. And so that girl's like, okay, to get back at him, I'm gonna make it seem like he's cheating on his girlfriend with the neighbor next door, which she does successfully, and he's sad. But then he helps her anyways when he finds out her boyfriend is actually cheating on her, and there's this epic scene where he comes in he comes into the room that they're having sex in, and he drills open the door handle. And so the main character, Uncle Buck, is played by John Candy, who is this enormous man, one of my favorite actors, enormous man. And he just stands there in the doorway, just his silhouette, with his big briefcase, like a fedora, his trench coat, and this drill, just like drilling. And the guys like freak out and run. And then I think he does. He like ties him up and like throws him in the back of his trunk, which is very funny. Really, it's a very touching comedic movie. There's a lot of nostalgia behind this movie for me. Similarly on this list to Home Alone, but I think this movie, it wasn't just mindless child beating up man funny. It was like there's genuine like funny things to it. And I also love John Candy. Could not put a John Candy movie on here. Yeah.
Strangely, that reminds me of Iago, which we talked about last week. If you haven't listen to that, you should. But the thing about the cheating, thinking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that whole thing.
Making someone think they are cheating. Actually, maybe that is like an Othello parallel. Weird.
All right.
Oh wow! I don't like thinking about that because if you ever read Othello, you should go read it now and then come back to the podcast. Wow, that's weird because like the position that he's making him or taking from him is like her boyfriend, except they are nice to each other in the end.
Well, yeah,
so.
yeah.
That's weird though. I'm gonna think about that for a long time. Wow,
that's kind of cool.
That's kind of cool and unsettling at the same time. Sorry, continue.
Yeah. So my number 8, another classic. Sorry for people that will be disappointed. We have Toy Story 3.
Woo!
And now I know you said you.
Oh, we forgot to mention our rule.
Oh yeah. That's right. We're only supposed to have one movie per series.
So we can't have Toy Story 3 and then James can't put Toy Story 1.
Yeah.
So Toy Story 3 is his favorite movie and it's only number 8.
Yeah.
Actually pretty high, I would say. Yeah.
I mean, comparatively, I
don't know who else would put Toy Story super, super high on their list. Sorry, that's not offense. Whatever. James, tell us about Toy Story 3. Why'd you like it so much that you put it at your top 10 list?
I know you said that you like Toy Story 2 better.
I do like Toy Story 2 better. I think, if I may just quickly
Yes,
talk about
of
it.
course.
Toy Story 3, I think, has a better emotional connection. It's deeper, and it has a better message and stuff. But I like the plot of 2 more. I felt more... Something about Toy Story 3 was very, like, not as charming in the animation style and in the vibe of the movie as Toy Story 2 for me. And I liked the charm of Toy Story 2 more than the, like, heavy feels of Toy Story 3. Even though I did love that movie.
All right, definitely. I feel that. Although, when we were discussing this last night, I was trying to recall as many details from each of the 3 movies' plots as I could. And
course.
the most, like, detailed plot I could remember was 3. And so, I'm assuming it had a much more lasting impression on me than the other 2. So, for those of you that don't know, which is, like, the people in Bizarro World,
Like, I don't know.
basically, the story follows these toys of this guy, and they're alive toys, and they have this whole crazy adventure where they feel they're unwanted, and so they move out, and then they find this evil dude that, like, wants to kill them, but in the end, it's all good, and it's a very happy ending.
No spoilers for the ending.
Yes, no spoilers. You should go watch it yourself. But it's a very nice ending. And so, personally, like I said, I remembered most of the plot. And I don't know, it's just, this movie felt very touching to me because the main villain, he was a very, very sad villain that I could empathize with.
He had a good...
Backstory.
Yeah.
He had a very good backstory.
And he was terrifying.
He was terrifying. He was very, very terrifying. Although you could easily empathize with him, he was so scary. Like, he there's a scene where all the toys get freaking incinerated, or almost get incinerated.
And they die? Question mark. Do toys die?
Yeah. And so, yeah, on one hand, a very scary villain, on the other, a very empathetic villain. And so and the ending just very nicely ties together the whole trilogy. I believe this trilogy has been called, like, a perfect trilogy before.
And they recently made the 4th one.
They made a 4th movie.
Which also was very good, apparently.
Really? Okay.
I haven't heard one bad account of it.
That's good. I have not watched it, so...
Neither have I feel bad about that. I should watch that. Let's watch it.
Let's watch it.
Cool.
Awesome. And so, yeah, I feel like the ending tied together the series very well, and it's just a very perfect ending for me. Would you like to move on to your...
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
What are we on?
Thank
Number
you.
8?
Number 7, I believe.
Number 7. Wow.
No, number 8, you're right.
So the second from the bottom. My number 8 is a movie on here. Taking a look at my
So I was just making sure.
Number 8 on here is a movie that I actually had in my top 5 when I first watched it, but it dropped a little bit recently, and I don't exactly know why, but it's still in my top 10. I absolutely love this movie. Rocketman, very recent movie, probably the most recent movie on here.
Not referring to the North Korean leader.
No, not referring to the North Korean leader. Referring to the song by Elton John, or the movie that just came out about Elton John's life. I did not know anything about Elton John before I walked into this movie, and I came out and I was just thrilled. I loved the movie so much. It made me fall in love with Elton John and his music. I loved the cinematography. I loved his story. I loved it was just a very, very beautiful movie. And I really had never had, like, an emotional ride like that through a movie, especially about someone that I had no idea who it was. It was a real person. They mixed a lot of elements of, like, real, like, this is what's happening in his life with cinematic, like, dances to his songs very well, I thought. I really enjoyed the movie, and it made me fall in love with Elton John and his music. That's the reason why he's my favorite artist today.
Wow.
Yeah, so I definitely think this is a great movie, and if you haven't seen it, I would watch it, even if you haven't, if you're interested at all in Elton John, or even if you're not, because I wasn't, and I watched it, and I loved it. I think it dropped a little bit just because it's a story of a real life, and I think some of these other ones deserve to be up here for like creative purposes, even though one of these is two of these. Okay, never mind. But I don't have as bright and happy of a memory of it as much as I did when I first watched it, like when it first came out. But still, in my top 10, I love that movie. I would watch it over and over again for sure.
Can you give us a brief, like, 1 or 2 summary of the plot?
It's of Elton John's life, and it talks about how his coming from like a young child, like in a very awful family, just like falling in love with music and having a great passion for music, and like all the struggles and difficulties, and it takes you to like a very low point in his life. And then there's just this amazing, beautiful, like, rise of hope. And the movie does this thing where the style is that Elton John is in like an Alcoholics Anonymous almost, and like he's recounting his memories every so often. And there's like different songs will like help portray different parts of his life, which I thought also, those were very well done. The choreography in this movie also very beautiful, and the costumes absolutely beautiful.
Elton John, folks.
Elton John, really good artist and very great movie made about him.
All right. What a emotional ride that was. But I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to.
I'm laughing because I can't wait for number 7. I can't wait. Oh,
we have quite a contrast here.
James, what is yours?
My number 7 movie.
I lied about the drum roll. We're gonna do it again. James's 7th favorite movie of all the movies in the world is
The Adventures of Clutch Powers. Now, for those of you who have no idea what this is,
it's like 99. I know somebody's watching this right now and they're like, "Oh my god!" Like I've heard of this, and they're like, "Whoa!" Anyway, sorry, continue. Tell us about The Adventures of Clutch Powers, James.
So, sorry if you were expecting another emotional roller coaster like we just went through. But this is another silly movie that I watched when I was a small child. And actually, for some reason, I don't know why, but I own this movie at home.
That's amazing.
It is.
That's really a rare movie. I'm going to look it up on Amazon while you talk about it.
I can watch it as much as I want. So basically, in early Lego days, when was this released? This was released in 2010.
This is a Lego film, by the way.
Yeah, this is a Lego film, if you couldn't tell already. And for reference, the Lego movie was released in 2014, so this is 4 years. Oh, yeah.
Well, but not the DVD. This is Amazon Video.
Well,
you can rent it on Amazon Video for $3.99.
Yes, if you really want to.
Which you should.
So this was 4 years before the Lego movie was released, and Lego was just stepping into the movie business, and it's advertised. This is the first Lego movie on DVD. And so the animation is not quite as high quality as you'd see from the Lego movie. Definitely a very big step down. But you can't really blame them.
But we will anyways.
This adventure of Clutch Powers follows.
Does he have printing for his crotch piece? Like, you see that?
What?
He has printing on his crotch piece of his Lego minifigure for his fly.
He does.
Clutch Powers is packing.
He is. So
sorry, continue.
Obviously, the plot centers around the adventures of Clutch Powers.
Where else could it ever?
Exactly. So Clutch Powers is your very stereotypical, cool, I only work alone in my own team kind of guy.
Really?
He is.
He seems so friendly looking.
Oh no, he's a very egotistical man.
Wow. Okay.
And so the movie opens up. I won't go into too much detail about the plot. But
No, you can go into a little more detail.
the movie opens up with the Clutch Powers doing this epic. So Lego City for some reason is powered by these crystals that are hidden in these caves, and the movie opens with Clutch Powers by himself trying to nab one of these crystals for the city, and he accidentally nabs a rock baby that's guarded by this giant rock mama monster. And this guy, and this is all Legos. I want you to remember this. And so this Lego monster starts chasing him, but Clutch Powers eventually realizes that it's a baby, returns it to the mother, gets a crystal, and everything is fine. And so the real movie starts when Clutch Powers is talking to his supervisor, and he's like, there has been this accident on an alien space mining colony, sort of similar to the plot of Aliens, if you've seen it. They got a distress signal, and from this mining planet, and we're sending you into space with a team to go find out what's going on. And he was like, you're sending me with a team? I only work alone. And then the other 3 members of the cast pop in, and they basically say it's the same thing. And so
the teammates are a firefighter, a biologist, and an engineer?
Yes. Yes.
Why is that helpful? Why is that? They're like on the alternate planet. They're like, shit, there's a fire. And they're like, don't worry, we have our firefighter.
Look, I didn't make this plot, okay? Don't question me. So they go off into space, and they find it's very like decrepit and creepy, pretty much just exactly like Aliens. And over the course of just looking through the planet, they basically discover it is a long plot.
How long is this movie? This movie's only 82 minutes long.
Well, the Wikipedia article is like maybe too long or excessively detailed. But they find out they're actually on this like medieval. No. The planet is actually a mix between many different Lego sets. But the main villain is situated in this medieval place, and they're like an evil witch that's like trying to wreak havoc on the world, and they have to make sure that the world isn't destroyed. And so it's a crazy adventure of these poorly animated CGI Lego guys, and it's amazing. It's absolutely awesome.
Can I ask a question? I missed this. What is Clutch Powers' occupation?
I think he's just like employed by the city as just like, I don't know. Is this like an Indiana Jones situation? I think
or is it like an undercover agent?
I think it's more like an Indiana Jones kind of thing.
Interesting.
Yeah. But I highly recommend you watch it just for the experience, because it is
And you can always borrow the DVD from James.
Yes.
Or rent it on Amazon Prime for $4. That's so interesting. Also, I 2 things about that movie that I saw on the Wikipedia page while you were talking about it. His boss's name is Kjeld. Kjeld. Which is crazy. Also, he's been on the Lego Ninjago TV series.
Really?
Do you see at the top there? At the top, it says he had a crossover with Lego Ninjago Masters Institute in 4 episodes of season 11, which is a very recent season.
I did not know that.
I had no idea either. And he was mentioned in season 1. I actually watched season 1. I don't remember.
Wow.
Season 1 of Lego Ninjago very good.
But yeah.
I don't know how I can follow that up at all.
And that's only my number 7, folks.
It's only his number 7. Actually, that's kind of the best one.
That's probably the luckiest one.
We'll see. My number 7 is another older-ish movie from the 80s, I think. And it's The Lost Boys. Ever heard of this one, James?
No, I
I
have not.
sincerely doubt it. I'm pretty sure a lot of you haven't heard of it. It's a very awesome movie, very, very 80s. And it's about, it's very famous for being filmed in Santa Cruz. And they make it, I forget what they renamed the city, but it's on like the Santa Cruz Boardwalk. And you know what that is, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And there's these vampires that have been like plaguing the town for like a very long time. And so this family of the single mom and her 2 kids have just moved over there into their grandparents' house. And I think you should watch the movie. I'm not going to spoil it because I think it's very interesting. But basically, these vampires are like attacking the town, and the older son becomes a vampire, and they have to and the kid meets like some vampire hunters named the Frog Brothers, and they're just like little kids who don't know what the fuck they're doing, and they're kind of just like, it's. I like the movie a lot because first of all, it's a lot of '80s fun, so lots of crazy practical effects and stuff, and also vampires, epic. I like seeing Santa Cruz in like a very new light. Like it's a very like dark, like weird, funky vibe. It's very weird, funky vibes through the whole movie. Also, just like the relationship that has to change and grow between the younger brother, the older brother, and the mom, of like how much they can share with each other about being a vampire, like, and like what they can tell, and like whether or not they want to tell, and like has to do with almost like a weird parallel to like teenage hormones. Like it's a very, very interesting movie in that regard, in that relationship. Yeah, I don't have much else to say about that movie other than you should go see it, and it has very good funky vibes, and I like the plot a lot. I think it's a fun plot. And it's like a horror movie, but it's not that scary. The practical effects are pretty obvious. I laughed at most of the scary scenes because it's just so funny. Yeah, go see The Lost Boys. This has been sponsored by The Lost Boys.
Awesome.
James, number
6. Yes. Here we go.
This is gonna be a short episode.
Honestly, kind of a step down from the Adventures of Clutch Powers.
I mean, everything is at this point.
Honestly, I'm regretting not putting him higher.
Do you want to switch it?
Well, it's too late for that.
It's too late.
It's too late, folks.
By the way, this is this list is made as of like 11:30 on this Saturday.
Night.
Well, like the last chance we had to change to 11:30. So like I'm gonna go see The Joker tonight. So that might go on here after this, but I haven't seen it yet.
Perhaps. All right. Number 6. A lot of people have probably heard of this one, but yes. I don't know how many people have actually watched this. It's Monty Python and the Holy Grail. A very classic movie that you hear referenced to very often.
Of course.
And I actually watched this one only a few weeks back, and so it's very fresh in my mind. So the plot follows. It's a very old movie. First of all, released in. I should have Googled this. It's a very old movie released in 1975. So that is older than most people listening, I think, unless you're old.
I have some family members who listen to some of it.
Okay. Well, then maybe it's not older than some people that are listening. But anyways, so the plot basically follows King Arthur and his recruitment of Knights of the Round Table to discover, I believe it was the Holy Grail. Obviously, why did I blank there? And so it's a very wacky, and it does not take itself seriously whatsoever, right? And so it's a very wacky film, as with most of my films are on this list. The plot goes in so many different directions, and it's so hilarious every step of the way. And when you realize that this was filmed in 1975, it's very crazy to think about, because like, there's so many like scenes in the movie that like could totally apply to like modern like
Isn't
jokes.
it weird how things like that? I don't like
Yeah.
when things like you're just like what, like The Simpsons or whatever. When they do things
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
exactly.
I hate when things are adaptable to modern day.
But personally, why I like this so much, or why it's on the place that it is just it takes itself so not seriously that it's just like, for example, like
then it sets up like I can also not take this seriously.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
have a good
exactly,
time.
exactly.
You're saying something. Sorry, go.
like for example, throughout the movie, these are knights, right? And they're supposed to be riding on horses. But I believe the story goes something like the budget team did not have enough budget to buy horses, so they just had servants. Like each knight had a servant that carried all his bags, and the servant would clop two coconut shells together to mimic a horse galloping. And so there's just stuff like that all over the movie, and it's so much fun, and it's a great time.
I need to see that movie all the way through. I've only seen part of it, which I'm mad about, and you can all judge me for.
It's on Netflix.
It is?
Yes.
Wow. Number 6 on my list. This is also a horrible flag, by the way. It's just 2 rectangles. Sorry,
You guys can't see
We
the
can
flag.
see some things you guys can't.
Yeah.
Number 6 on my list is a lot of my movies on here, or like half of them are like older movies. Is Mrs. Doubtfire with the legendary Robin Williams.
I've not heard of this one.
Yeah, it's for some reason not as many people know about this movie as I thought they did. I guess it was much more popular back in the day. Back in the old days. This is a movie that my mom likes a lot, and I also really like. I've watched it with her a couple times now. Just a wonderful role by Robin Williams. It's a very touching movie, and it's a very funny movie at the same time. I think it sends a really good message and talks about some really interesting topics about like divorce and about like how to deal with basically a small portion of the plot is that this father and mother have divorced, or they're filing for divorce, or they filed for divorce, and they're talking about custody of children, and the father is only allowed to see the children like on the weekends, basically. But in order to see them more, he pretends to be this epic nanny. And the phone's going off. I'll turn that off in a second. Basically, he's pretending to be this epic nanny, so he dresses up as like a woman, and he pretends to be a woman because he's a very good voice actor. He's a very good actor in general. And then fuck the phone. And he pretends to be a nanny for them, and so he sees his kids all the time. And in order to see them more than just on the weekend. And it's like this very wonderful movie of like what a father will do for his children, and it's also just very funny. Again, there's a lot of funny things that happen because his wife isn't supposed to know that he's the nanny, him and the wife have very like deep conversations about their marriage through him being the nanny, whose name is Mrs. Doubtfire, by the way. And it ends on a really sweet note, and it's very good at getting a good message across.
Interesting.
About very deep things without being a depressing movie. And I really like that movie. Very funny. I think an absolutely wonderful family friendly movie to watch.
All right.
It'd be a little outdated in some things, but I mean, what isn't?
Well, speaking of old movies involving nannies, we have a very, very, very classic movie.
Yeah, I was surprised you put this on here.
Really?
I mean, compared to some of your other things.
Well, that's
on
fair.
here.
That's fair.
Is this your only non-animated movie? No, Monty Python.
Monty Python.
An Endgame, sort of.
Oh, well, you just spoiled it.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
Oh, I'm a horrible.
Oh, sorry, folks.
no.
A little spoiler alert.
no.
Spoiler alert.
Oh no. Maybe they didn't hear it. I'll edit it out.
You'll edit it out.
I'll edit it out for 1 second. I'll put like a chicken noise over it.
Yeah, all right.
See, now they've forgotten that.
Exactly.
That what's its face is on the list.
Anyways.
Talk about number 5.
Yes, we have. This is actually a little bit of context first. a lot of the movies, like I said at the start, I haven't watched many movies, but a good portion of the movies I have watched, I watched on airplanes.
Amazing.
And so just remember, when I watched this movie, I was high up in the air.
Okay, James.
And so we have the old Mary Poppins from a long, long time ago.
I actually have not watched this one.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, recently...
I haven't watched the new one either.
Okay, that's fair.
With Mr. Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yes, the lovely, lovely Lin-Manuel Miranda.
This one doesn't have Lin-Manuel Miranda.
No.
So how can it be better, James? How?
Well, because I haven't seen the new one.
No. Okay.
So, yeah. So the plot, for those of you that don't know, centers around this family that really has very misbehaving children, and they're...
Don't have kids.
Yes, exactly. That is the moral of the story. And so the father's like a rich banker, and like I don't remember what the mother did, but they didn't have time to care for their children at all, and their children chased away every nanny that tried to work for them, until eventually Mary Poppins, who's seemingly this like magical entity that can fly in the air for some reason, comes in and like takes the children on a crazy, like, almost like a psychedelic drug trip. I don't want to say a psychedelic drug trip, but like, she takes the children to this whole new world that's like kind of like and then she teaches the children like all different lessons and morals and stuff.
Why is this on your list? Especially above, like, the Adventures of
Chase
Powers.
Clutch Powers. I don't know how I keep calling Chase Powers. Yeah, no, you're right. I should have put Clutch Powers higher. But no, it was
What did you enjoy about this movie?
It was a very touching story.
Okay. That's fair.
It had a very nice... All the characters had a very nice arc. And the characters were all very, very fun characters. Like, you could like easily see the children at the start like grow to be better people, and like the banker father, who's like kind of portrayed as a villain at the start, has a little nice like wrap up ending where he becomes a much nicer father. And Mary Poppins is just a crazy character that works really well, and all the characters just have a very nice plot to them.
You know, I think there's a theory that Mary Poppins comes from, like, the same world that It does.
What?
Yeah, like Pennywise and
Oh.
Mary Poppins are, like, of the same species. There's, like, a theory, I believe, about
That's
that.
insane.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That's absolutely insane. I've never...
Maybe we'll talk about that theory one day.
Maybe.
That should be interesting. Give me an excuse to watch Mary Poppins. Should I talk about my fifth favorite movie?
Yes.
Of all time, ever. This
Ever.
is getting into. This is probably a movie that most of you have at least heard of, James. And it's Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, the very first one.
I have heard of this one.
Yeah, I've heard of this one. Why do I like the first one more than the other ones? Arguably, you could say that the third one also a very good one. Again, I did really like the third one. I mean, it was a tough choice between those two for me. Not the second one, because that has a lot of racist things going on in it. Yeah.
Okay.
There's like slaves and stuff,
Awesome.
and like a lot of races are the bad guys, and it's like, okay, a little bad. I mean, all of them are kind of racist against like Germans and Russians and stuff. Basically, Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark, I think it has... I just recently also rewatched like most of the movies. And I was just so like excited about the first one again because I thought it introduced the character very well. They gave us a lot of backstory and plot to this character very early on in this movie, and it's a character like if you watch it for the first time you don't know a lot about, but it's very easy to ease into it. Like it makes sense for you. And it all fits with the character and what you know about the character. There's no immediate surprises right at the beginning or anything that will like make you go, what? I didn't think that was going to happen, like in the first bits of the movie. I think the action is fun. I love the truck chase scene. You don't know about this. Haha. He's on a truck, or he's like, there's a bunch of trucks like transporting the Lost Ark, and he's like jumping from across them one another, and he's getting attacked by people, and it's just fucking cool. Awesome movie. Just really like that movie. I can't recommend it enough. Absolutely a top 5 for me. Really enjoyed that. Also, something that did make me like it less though was that Salah, my favorite character, who's like an Arab Egyptian person, is apparently just played by a white person.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he's played by the same guy who plays Gimli in Lord of the Rings.
Aw.
I think.
That's a very...
Yeah.
Wow.
Which was a little bit wacky for me to find out about, and I was a little sad. But, oh well. Anyways, on to
The acting world is cut.
number 4. What is it? What could it be?
So number 4, in case James left the little part in and didn't replace it with the little...
I probably won't replace it. I'm just gonna leave it.
Alright. It is Endgame.
Avengers
Endgame. Now, I saw this one over the summer.
You also, may I add, did not see Infinity War.
No, I did not. That's great, because I got to give some context to this. Half of these movies I give context to, but...
that makes sense.
Yeah. So...
That's what the podcast is for. If people don't want to hear our context, they should go away.
Sorry, folks, but I am not a Marvel fan. As I hinted to in our previous podcast, I'm much more of a DC person. Well, keep going. As many of you know, DC live action isn't really the best.
Yeah, I kind of yelled about it a lot last week on the podcast.
And so we have, so over the summer, Endgame was just coming out, and it was kind of a big spur, and I was invited to go. By a group of friends. No.
A friend. One singular friend.
I was invited to go by.
Was it a date?
It was a date. It was not a date.
Oh.
I'm sorry to disappoint.
Damn.
It was. I wish it was a date though.
Oh really?
Because it was with one Dennis Ariel Muzz. I think that's correct.
That's correct, as in that was who you went with, or that's how you say his name?
It's both.
Okay, well, I can't not confirm nor deny. No, I think that's how you say his name. I don't know if you went with him, though.
I did go with him. And also, Jennifer Guzman was there as well.
So, not a person. There were 2 people.
Well, Dennis invited me. One person invited me, but I went with 2 people.
Okay.
So, and funny story, I actually... was asleep when they came to pick me up, and so when they knocked on the door, I was like, "Huh? What is going on?"
Good. And that's why it's your favorite movie.
That's why it's my favorite movie. No,
not even your favorite movie. Your 4th favorite movie. Very high, actually, for
it is very high
for not seeing Infinity War. All right, tell us. Keep going.
If you haven't seen Endgame. There are going to be pretty massive spoilers ahead.
Yeah, if you haven't seen Endgame, go away. Watch Endgame and then come back. Don't even have to watch Infinity War. James watched Endgame. I didn't watch Infinity War.
This is kind of the series finale to like 20 years worth of Marvel films. And so it's this big, what is it, like 2 hours long?
I think it's, 2 hours. Is it 3 hours even? No, 2 hours.
It's a super long film. It's very climactic.
Look at the runtime.
Of wrapping all these different plots together. And it's absolutely crazy seeing so many different characters from all over the MCU come into one movie and have this epic finale and final battle, and everything about it was great. I thought the actors were lovely.
The runtime was 3 hours and 2 minutes.
3 hours, wow. The actors were lovely. The CGI was phenomenal.
Who was your favorite character?
My favorite character was actually Spider-Man. Even though he was gone for most of the movie.
Yeah, he was there for like 10 minutes, maybe.
And so, yeah, there were so many epic characters following a crazy, awesome galactic plot. Personally, sorry about this, but I didn't really like the time travel part of it. I thought it was very cliche, but I understand there's not anything you can do there. So time travel is like the best way to wrap everything together. And so it was a very nice bow on a gift, you know?
Okay.
All right.
Interesting choice of words there. My fourth favorite movie of all time is something that comes to a surprise for a lot of people. The Founder, which I also watched on an airplane. For the first time I watched it on an airplane. Do you know The Founder at all?
No, I don't.
The Founder is this movie about the creator of McDonald's.
Oh, wait, that's right. We discussed it. I
Just
had
a little
watched
bit.
this.
You have?
Yes,
Oh.
on an airplane.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Maybe it was on the same airplane.
Maybe.
Maybe we
Ooh.
were sitting next to each other and you were watching over my shoulder. What is this handsome gentleman watching? I want to be like him. Okay, I'm gonna stop sucking my own dick. Don't listen to that, family members. But The Founder, I love The Founder. Very surprising even to me. I couldn't put it any lower than where it is on the list. I just love this movie. I don't know why, but it was just so impactful. I loved Michael Keaton's performance in this. He plays the main character, who's I don't fucking remember his name. And it's just this like devastating story of like how to create a successful business. And he starts out this as first of all this very like trying to do his best like salesman, and he comes across these two guys who are like working this like burger shack, and it's like very successful, and he basically like is like, I want to come into business with you guys, and then he goes into business with them, and then he just kind of later on steals their idea and like kicks them out of the thing, and he like divorces his wife and marries like someone else he loves, and it's just like, and you can't, it's very hard for you to be like, I hate you, because you're still like in awe of like all the things that he's doing and like the things that he's accomplishing. It's so, I mean, it's just like a very, you cannot take your eyes off of him.
Yeah.
And it's such a terrifying story to think about of like how many of great businesses that I go to have done this. Not that I go to McDonald's, but like, I mean, there are a lot of people who do, and it's just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, wow. I was surprised McDonald's even let that movie be made, just because of how almost like scary their origins. Not scary, but like devastatingly their origins were in that movie. So yeah, I don't know how that happened. I really liked that. Did you like that movie? Do you remember it at all?
I remember it like a little bit.
Okay.
I remember the movie being very, very captivating. Actually, I think I didn't finish it. I think the plane landed before I finished. That's probably why I didn't like remember it that well.
It's a very underrated movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was nominated or got any Oscars, but it should have. It was very good.
No, but yeah, the plot is it's very captivating. It's crazy watching this guy like just go and take over this business.
It only made $24 million.
Really? Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, but it did not make that much money.
Yeah, it's so
Nick Offerman, by the way, also in this movie. Just saying.
It's very captivatingly, or it's sickeningly captivating how this guy comes in and he's like, this is mine now, and makes it one of the most successful businesses in America. And you get to watch the progression.
Wow, it did not receive like any awards.
Wow,
it was nominated for. Very underrated movie.
But yeah,
Wow, that's awful. Oh my god.
you watch the plot of this guy like become super successful, but he's like the main villain and main hero at the same time, and so it's a crazy plot. But anyways, this is not.
Oh, this is interesting. I'm gonna read this quote from a Rolling Stone, one of the guys, and he says, "It's an ad that becomes a warning before circling around and becoming another darker kind of advertisement. And one of the most intriguing and surprising things about The Founder is that in the end, it seems vaguely ashamed of itself for letting this happen."
Wow.
This movie was very well received. I mean, it got 81%, based on 235 reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, this was a very not well seen, it didn't see that much. Not a lot of people saw it, and it really should have been seen more.
Wow.
That's unfortunate.
Well, moving along.
Moving along to, what is this, number three? Number tres.
This is a very familiar one that we discussed last week on our podcast. It is the Lego movie.
Oh yeah, we did discuss this last week. Another movie I wanted to put on here, but I could not, sadly. Tell us about the Lego movie, James.
So the Lego movie, as you may have heard, is a plot centering around this ordinary guy that gets sucked into this very extraordinary cast of characters and eventually takes down the evil monopolizing guy that's like basically mind controlling everyone.
Yeah, if you want our analysis or like us talking about that movie, we talked about that at the end of our podcast last time for the last like 20 minutes, I would say.
10, 20 minutes.
If you want to hear that, I would say, since we have that, why would you put it at number 3 so high up on your list?
Because I have very fond memories of the movie,
okay.
and I have a very positive association with it. And as we discussed last time, it's an overall very good movie.
It is pretty good. I think it's just epic. It's very epic.
And for those of you that are like, oh, but you already had a Lego movie on here, we're not counting that as the same series, despite
Yeah, it's
them
not the
both.
same series. Lego Movie 2 would be counted.
Yes, exactly.
As the same series. We wouldn't allow it. Anything else you want to say? I feel
not
like you
really.
didn't talk about it for very much.
Well, I mean, we talked about it last time,
Yeah.
so.
But if there's anything else you want to add, any favorite characters?
Not off the top of my head. Sorry.
Never apologize.
Okay.
The movie should apologize to you for not instigating a love for a character.
Well, I
in
just
your
had
heart.
so much love for every character.
Yeah, a lot of the characters in that movie, you're just like pirate with a fucking robot body, a spaceman guy, cool badass girl. What's the other guy? Even Lord Business, very epic character, fun character.
Awesome characters.
Vitruvius, all sorts of things. That movie has a death of somebody in it.
Does it?
Vitruvius dies. Spoiler alert. How can you?
Oh yeah, I remember that. I do remember that.
That's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
And he doesn't like come back to life. I thought they were gonna. When I first watched that movie, I thought they were gonna like rebuild him, and I was like, haha. And he just comes back as a ghost, and I was like, oh, he fucking died. Like he's gone. I guess they couldn't get Morgan Freeman to do the movie like another time. He also doesn't show up in Lego Movie 2 that much.
Oh well. Big shame. Big shame.
Is it my number 3 time? My number 3 is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Another movie we discussed last time?
We did?
We did.
Yeah, a little bit with the Spider-Man stuff. Love this movie. I mean, art style, plot even is really great. The characters, the animation, I think more superhero films need to be animated. And this is exactly what I was envisioning, because you can just do crazy things with the animation that you just can't with live action. And I think there's something impressive about live action, but there's something phenomenal about animated and feeling like, oh, Spider-Man in a regular Spider-Man costume, very natural. Or like, oh, like, here's the Prowler and he's doing all these things. Or like Kingpin is this huge dude with a tiny head and it works. It just, very beautiful movie, beautiful themes in both the animation and in the plot. I almost want it not to have more movies after it, because I feel like as a standalone piece, it might be even more powerful. But I think they are making more movies for it. But I don't know what they are or what they're going to Yeah.
Maybe
I
we'll
almost
find
feel
out.
like it should be a standalone movie because I feel like it can't get any better than what this just was because it was so revolutionary in its animation style and stuff.
Right.
You know, love this movie, and of course, I'm a big Marvel fan. This is actually the only Marvel film on here.
Interesting.
I tried to limit my Marvel on here.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of clips of this movie, and it's one of the movies that I really, really want to see because it looks so awesome.
I will gladly watch it with you again if you want.
Awesome.
Very wonderful movie.
And like we discussed last time, animated movies for or Marvel are a new territory. That
Yeah, they don't have that many.
Yeah, but it worked very well for them this time.
Oh yeah, I mean amazing. Sony did a great job.
Moving on
To your number 2.
my number 2.
Which I'm actually very excited this is number 2. I sure loved the movie Charlie Brown on Halloween. I actually should have considered that for my top 10.
Maybe.
Maybe. Love Peanuts.
My number 2, another very, very classic movie. More recent than...
Classic for some people, but unfortunately not classic
Yeah.
for enough people.
Yeah.
I would say.
It's Wreck-It Ralph.
Wreck-It Ralph.
I just really loved this movie. Like, it's another one of the movies, like, just in the whole bucket full of them that I watched a super long time ago as a kid. But for some reason, this movie really stuck out to me. Like, I can still remember the plot very... I don't want to say vividly, but I can remember scenes, like, very vividly. And I can remember the overall plot pretty well. And it's just... Wreck-It Ralph just had this charm to it.
Big charm.
As many of you know, I'm a very big video game nerd. Spoilers, you might find out next week.
Next week on the podcast.
And so, just that added little like bonus to it just made this movie very just awesome. And like the characters were all like they all had beautiful arcs. And the plot was like silly, but not to a point where it was like, okay, this is ridiculous, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was a little ridiculous, but
a little.
It made you not care about the ridiculousness.
Yeah, exactly. And
Ridiculous in like not like this is laughable, but it's like this is crazy vibes.
and like seeing the main villain like get wrecked in that way was a very satisfying but also very unique way of finishing off the main
I
villain.
like the world of Wreck-It Ralph.
Definitely.
It's cool to see all these retro games come together.
And
I liked it.
something about like the main villain of the game, like this guy's basically supposed to be like a Donkey Kong, right?
Yeah.
Just seeing something like him going through this emotional journey of helping this little girl become a princess again, along with the side plot of aliens attacking and the builder
crazy.
guy.
Fix-It Felix.
Fix-It Felix. It's just, I don't know, it does so many things, but it does them very well.
I agree.
And it's just, I don't have anything more to say than that. It's a lovely, lovely movie.
Wreck-It Ralph 2, not as good. I heard a lot of great things about it. It was not as good. I think if you like, cool references to things, maybe. But
I've not watched that one.
ultimately, not as good of a movie as Wreck-It Ralph. You don't need to watch it. Don't ruin it. My number 2 movie is something that I was surprised went so high, but I like thinking about it for the past week and last night especially, I had to put it at number 2. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. This movie. Have you watched any of the Harry Potter movies?
No,
Have you
I've
read
not.
any of the Harry Potter books?
No, have not. I am planning to before people kill me.
Jake's gonna get killed. Next week I'm gonna be like, this podcast had to be canceled. Our co-host has been killed by Harry Potter fans. Yeah, you better get on that, dude. Like,
Yes.
I'm gonna give you a book right now. Start reading. The reason I like this, I did not. So my favorite book, for context, is Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. I've read that book. I think that's a book I've read the most in my life. I've read it around 30 times, maybe a little more.
That's insane.
Yeah, really like that book. Harry Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. At first, when I watched that movie, didn't really like it because I didn't love the Deathly Hallows just because I was sad. That's a weird echo happening in my house.
It's been going on for a while.
I know. I don't know why I heard like a high-pitched echo. Back to Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. I didn't love the books because it came to an end and I was sad, and it was a very different vibe with them not going to school and everything. It was just not like a classic Harry Potter book. This is spoilers for you, James, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Not spoilers for anybody else on the planet Earth, but spoilers for James. And I just thought this movie did a lot right. Usually when you split up movies, because there's only one Deathly Hallows book, and they split it up into 2 different movies. So with things like The Hobbit, it didn't work at all. But with this movie, I think it worked very well. I think both had a very distinct theme. And this movie, again, stylistically, was beautiful. There are so many things you can look at and be like, wow, that was an excellent, excellent choice for them to make. The camera angles are very rugged and rigid. Usually the camera, not the camera angles, but like the way they hold the camera, I don't know what it's called, but like the camera positioning, it's like jittering around and like shaking up and down as they like run through this forest and they don't know where they are. And you kind of don't know where they are. There's a very big sense of like, what is happening? Because the whole movie is like, what is happening? Because none of the main characters like know exactly what they're doing. They're in this very unfamiliar situation, very dangerous situation. It's hard for them to get a grasp on like what they need to do next. And I think there's a lot of things that like, especially with the camera, that do that. Usually the camera angles are very fluid in Harry. I mean, look at the battle at the end of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix movie. Very fluid camera angles. There's nothing shaky or crazy about that. You see everything very clearly. But like there's the chase between is it Fenrir Greyback or someone else? No, it's I don't remember his name. Wow. One of my favorite characters in Lego Harry Potter Part 37 too. Damn. But they're like chasing them through. This is before they catch them and take them to Bellatrix's manor. To the Malfoy Manor, sorry, not Bellatrix Manor. Malfoy Manor. And they're like chasing them through the forest. The camera is very shaky and you don't know what's going on, and there's like it cuts from Harry to the Death Eaters and back and forth, and it's just like, what is happening? Dobby dying at the end of the movie is a very meaningful and like strong way to end that film, and the fact that they bury him without magic says something. Even the lighting of the whole movie, it's set in a very like dulled color vibe, and it shows that like there's a lot of things that these characters are missing out on that give them the color of their life. It's just, I mean, going back through and watching the movie from like an artistic movie standpoint, and not just from a I love Harry Potter standpoint, I love the movie more. I'm very passionate about this movie. I like it a lot. If you want to see a video that talks about this much better, go to Mr. Sunday Movies on YouTube and look up Harry Potter. Look up Harry Potter on his channel, and I'm sure it'll be like the first video that pops up. But he talks about this in a much better way. And that was like, I watched that movie again and I was like, whoa, this is fucking sick. Yeah.
That's fascinating.
That's my number 2. I know, really, really. I mean, for someone who hasn't seen the movie, I don't know how you're feeling right now. But yeah.
It's just a very different review than most of the movies you've given here. Like, you focused on the lighting and camera angles.
Because the plot is a plot of a very good book.
Right.
And the movie is done very well.
Okay.
I think. Like, it's not just, it's, and then, okay, we're moving on. That never happened.
I'm very sad you didn't get to see his
my hand movements. I did some very specific hand movements. James, your number 1 favorite movie.
My number 1 favorite movie out of all the less than 25 movies I've watched is... We're not getting it. No drum roll. We already promised. We already gave 2 drum rolls.
Oh, sorry.
We promised not to do that. It's the Lego Batman movie.
Okay.
All right. So more context.
This is the DC movie on here.
Yes. To throw some more context at you, because we all know you guys love the context. You'll eat it all up, like the good boys you are. I love Batman and the Joker. They're the stories that have been told between them are like my favorite. They're some of my favorite characters of all time. And obviously they've been ran with for 40, 50 years. No, it's been more than 100, hasn't it? No, it's wrong. It's wrong. That's so wrong.
In the 1900s, when cars were being invented, you could often see Batman and the Joker fighting above. That's crazy. There's no way. No way.
No. Okay.
1940.
No, 1940. Okay. So it's been say 70, 80 years.
Yeah. Actually, almost 100.
Almost 100.
What the?
Yeah, dude. Comic books are old, you guys.
Next year is going to be his 80th anniversary.
Mm-hmm. Comic books are very old, guys.
Wow.
Okay, so I wasn't that far off. I wasn't that ridiculous. I don't know about you. Anyways, it's just, I know it sounds like a very stereotypical, oh, I like Batman, he's super cool, or something, but when you really dig into the characters and stories that have been presented with Batman, it's absolutely crazy what you can find. And
do you see that in the Lego Batman?
No, not at all. That is the thing with the Lego Batman movie. It takes everything you know about Batman and just completely destroys it. You're like, you know Batman, this is completely gone. Imagine, I don't know how many of you have seen clips of the live action Batman series or TV show that's just absolutely from the 1980s.
With Adam West.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's just a zany Batman from the golden era of comic books. This is that, but 10 times
on steroids.
On steroids.
Literally
exactly.
on steroids.
This is the wackiest version of Batman I have ever seen. And this movie is so awesome. It does so much with Batman and his whole roster of characters.
This big rogues gallery. Huge rogue gallery.
And it just throws in more random villains from popular media in general. Sauron is a big villain.
Yeah, wait, I forgot about that. Sauron, the wizard of the witch, the wicked witch of the West is in here.
Godzilla is in here.
Godzilla? What?
Yeah, Godzilla was in here, or King Kong, maybe both. I don't remember.
The movie's crazy.
It's absolutely crazy.
It's absolutely crazy.
And this is another one of the movies I watched on an airplane.
I forgot Sauron was in this movie.
And so it's just
This is Sauron from the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
the tower with the eye. That's what we're talking about right now.
If you haven't seen this, you must think we're crazy. But this is all 100% real. I can assure you. It's
He also adopts a child.
He does, and it's not a regular Robin at all. It's like a very flamboyant, very. I don't know what to say.
There's nothing you can say to describe it.
No, you can't describe this at all. It's
so you like this because it goes away from the stereotype.
I mean, I don't know if I like it because of that, but doing that, it does that very well, I guess.
I mean, yeah, it fucking does.
It's an absolutely crazy experience. And I remember after I finished the movie, I was just sitting there on the plane, wide-eyed, that was the best movie I have ever watched. And oh my god.
I completely forgot that the Eye of Sauron was in this movie. Who plays him in this movie? The Lego?
And I have not talked about the plot at all.
Don't do it.
All right.
The Eye
for those
of
of you
Sauron.
that want to know what the plot is about, too bad, because
Who plays him?
I have no words.
Jermaine Clement is Sauron. Oh, Voldemort also in this movie.
Oh yeah, Voldemort also in this
King
movie.
Kong in the movie.
King Kong, yes. Just so many.
I'm gonna look up the list of. No, I can't. There's so many villains in this. I can't look up the list of villains in this movie.
So yeah, it's like you combine the Lego movie with that 80s Batman show.
It's so crazy.
It is. And oh my god. And
I wish I liked it more.
I wish you did as well.
Yeah.
But that's all I can say about my number one movie of all time.
With the Eye of Sauron. I can't believe there's a movie on your list with the Eye of Sauron, and it's not Lord of the Rings. It's the only movie of both of our lists with the Eye of Sauron. There's no mention of Lord of the Rings. My number one favorite movie, probably not a surprise to most of you, is Tangled. I love Tangled. This is probably the movie I've watched the most in my life for obvious reasons. I love Rapunzel. Absolutely my favorite princess. I think she has a message that really, really speaks to me of like being stuck somewhere, wanting to explore a passion, and like that is represented in so many different places. Like with like her lack of knowledge of the world and the lack of space she has on her wall to paint in. Have you watched Tangled?
No, no.
Oh, okay, well. And it also, what I like is that it tells the Rapunzel story very differently from what you usually think it does. It's not the same old like story that you usually hear of like Rapunzel let down your hair and it's a prince and he kills a bird. It goes on a very different route. I like how Flynn Rider, the prince Eugene, is a very different sort of Prince Charming than we usually get. He's a thief at the beginning and then he falls in love with Rapunzel throughout the movie. It's a very beautiful movie and also a very fun movie. It's not the most high quality movie on my list, probably. Mm-hmm. Probably more than yours. I'm kidding. I just love this movie. I mean, I could go on and on about the things that I love. I love the colors. I love the world that they build. I really like the animation. I really like the animation style. I think the humor is very funny. I love the action sequences. I think the villain is very interesting, and her motives are very clear. It's not like, okay, well, I mean, why would you... Like, it's not just because she's an evil person. She's very motivated to be young. And when you think about it, you're like, okay, well, like, why would people do that? Mm-hmm. People want to do that. That's why, like, balding medicine is so expensive. Because people don't want to look old. Like, people don't want to look old.
Okay.
Like, anti-aging cream or, like, plastic surgery, it's expensive because they can make a bunch of money off of it. Because people will do anything to, like, not look old.
I'm feeling attacked, but okay.
And, no, what I mean, like, for balding, not for being... If you choose to be bald,
no,
James...
I'm joking.
Jay's over here like, fuck you, while his hair is the longest it's ever been. Like, weeks and weeks of growing. No, what can I say? I think the movie is wonderful. I love its message. I think the villain... Also, another thing, that's a kind of a consistent theme on my list. But I like when... things are desperate, it really feels desperate. Like it's very like the point of in this movie where it's like very, very desperate is Rapunzel is like, this is gonna sound weird for you. She's like chained up and like she's being locked away by her mother, quote unquote mother, who's stolen her, and she's like, I'm never like letting you do like nice things in the house again because clearly you can't be trusted. Just an epic movie. Love Tangled. I can't not put it at number one.
And that...
Wow, that was our top 10 movies.
That was our top 10 movies. Do you have any final closing thoughts about your list that you would like to say?
No, I think not. Okay. I think I like my list. I feel good about it. Again, I wish Dunkirk could have made it on here. And there was another movie that I can't remember that I said at the beginning that I wish could have made... Oh, It's a Wonderful Life. Also, I wish could have made it on here. Really wanted to put it on here somewhere. I could not find a spot for it. James, what about you? Anything for your list?
After going through the Adventures of Clutch Powers, I really wish I ranked that higher.
Where would you rank it now?
I think I rank it like number 3.
Wow, above the Lego Movie.
I don't know why, but just going through that movie again, I realized, wow, that was a
nostalgia trip.
exactly.
Understandably so. Great
and-
movie. I haven't watched it, but great movie.
For those of you that have not watched the Lego Batman movie, I definitely did not do it justice in this review here.
No, you should. I think if there's one movie... Oh! Let's each of us say one movie on our list that you think you have to watch at some point. You go first. Which is, I'd be guessing...
Yeah, it'd probably be the Lego Batman movie. But as a runner-up to that, The Adventures of Clutch Powers.
Understandably.
I don't know how many of you have heard of it. Probably 0. But like, it's a diamond in the rough. Mm-hmm. It definitely looks very rough.
It looks very rough. I think my 2... Number 1, absolutely The Founder. That movie does not have enough viewership. Not enough people know about that movie. It should be watched much, much more. It's a really quality movie. I don't understand. I don't get it. And then number 2, because people don't know much about this is Doubtfire. People should watch that movie. It's a good movie. It has Robin Williams. So, fuck you if you don't like Robin Williams. That's all I have to say.
That's all we have to say, folks.
What do we want to talk about? So you can find us on social media. So this week's episode was recommended to us by a wonderful Annie Leonard, who is a listener of our podcast.
Yes.
And if you want to suggest ideas for the podcast that we can talk about, and you're not going to ask us to talk about the legitimacy of the state of Israel, find us on social media. You can find us on Instagram at official Thai podcast TAI. On Twitter at like something. The Twitter is in the Instagram bio.
You can find us through each social media.
Yeah, and it should be on our page for SoundCloud as well.
Yep.
And then, my parents just came home.
Oh, awesome. Well, it's a good thing
we're wrapping it up. Thanks for talking. Next week, we're going to talk about our top 10 favorite video games.
Yep.
Also suggested by Annie Leonard. And I know we haven't had any guests, but we'll have guests.
Soon.
Are we done?
Goodbye.